Well, the question is, how we have somebody do it.
I'm ready. I'm always ready. Wait.
Ready? Okay. Good evening. The March 9th meeting of the Milltown Borough Council will come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Vargas.
Here.
Councilman Dixon.
Here.
Councilman Legati.
Here.
Councilwoman Newbauer. Here. Councilman Peretti is absent. Councilman Zambrana.
Here.
Mayor, we have 5 present.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the open public meeting statement?
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of holding of this regular business meeting of the Borough Council was provided by the adoption of a resolution and the posting, filing, and forwarding of a copy of the same to the official borough newspapers, Home News Tribune, and Star Ledger Publishing Companies on January 9, 2020. Public participation in this meeting will be permitted during public hearings and after the agenda of scheduled matters has been completed.
Thank you. We will wait for the moment of silence and salute to the flag until the general meeting. So next we have items for discussion. So first on the agenda, we have a new feature that I requested. It's called the Department Showcase. And the reason for doing so is that the council sits up here and people from the public come and ask us questions. We get emails, we get calls, we run into people around town, and a lot of times we'll have to say, well, we have to go back to the department head because they're the ones that are in charge of that department. While we're happy to hear from the public and we want to help you and answer your questions, a lot of times really the people that work here do a fabulous job. So we want to highlight each department head, and we have, what, 6, 7 department heads? So it might not be every meeting, it might be once a month, but we're going to do the department showcases throughout the year. Each department head will come, just say a little bit about all the things that they do, and I think, you know, I've learned so much since I've been here about all that we do that I think the general public just doesn't realize, and also to be here to answer to the public. So going forward, if you have more questions, you'll put a face to a name, you can interact. Of course, you can still come to us, but we want to direct you to the right person. So the department head that drew the short straw tonight is Chief Kennelly from the from the Milltown Fire Department.
Police department.
I mean, did I say fire? I'm sorry, Brian.
Oh, my
No,
goodness.
we were at the fire department anniversary party the other day. I'm so used to saying the Milltown Police Department. So we really appreciate him being here, and so if you could just tell a little bit about what's going on in the department, and then we'll open it up to the public and the council to ask questions. So
Okay,
for being
thanks.
here.
Again, I'm Chief Kennelly from your Milltown Police Department. I want to thank Mayor and Council for having me. Thank everybody for coming. Let me just start by saying, anytime there's a concern out there, you don't necessarily have to go, you know, through Mayor and Council. My door's open, my phone rings, we field 2,000 calls a month. A couple more aren't going to offend me. So please, just know we have, you know, I'm here for you guys. And it's your police department, just feel free to call anytime. And as long as that's out there, we'll open it up to any questions.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions, concerns, comments? You can come up to the mic. Sure, go ahead. If you would just state your name and your address.
Sure. Hi, I'm Janet Chismadia. I'm on 3 Cherry Hill Road, and I want to really thank you for coming. I've been to a handful of meetings through my 35 years here, and I thank you for coming. And,
Thank you.
You know, it just feels comfortable to see you and not know that you're in the back room back there
Right.
whenever I go.
Like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, exactly.
And I really want to thank you and your officers for your service here. I do happen to know several police, and it is a sacrifice, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
What
Kind
provide
words.
for
Thank you.
us.
Thank you.
I've been here for 35 years, and I live on Cherry Hill Road, and it's just been quiet. Many people, when I moved in, were the original owners from the 60s, first owners, and then our generation came in. Over the course of 35 years, we've had 3 houses burglarized, and cars broken into, windows broken. And in the last thing that really kind of tripped me up and why I'm here today is because,
Ma'am,
yes,
your shoulder is hitting that mic.
oh, sorry, I didn't even know. I'm nervous.
I didn't hear a word you said. You have to start over.
But I had 3 incidents happen literally in front of my house in the past month. And police, in 2 of them, you know, that were directly in my house, in front of my house. My feeling, having been here for 35 years, it's not that I want to know who did it. I want to know who was trespassing all over when the cops were chasing the guy and pulled him out from behind somebody's. I want to know that that happened, because years ago when the first house was broken into, my husband and I put all kind of motion detectors as a result of having that burglar, because we had the same kind of house. And now our house looks like Yankee Stadium. And so when things like that happen, my neighbor's house was broken into after that. And then I just cut all my hedges so that they can't jump in the window like they wanted to get. So I just want to have a knowledge. I understand. Thank you. You can tell I've never done
That's
this.
fine. You're good. We can hear you.
And I forgot my train of
No,
thought.
I think I understand your concerns, and I appreciate it.
But sir, I just want to know that this happened. We're not Mayberry. I thought it was Mayberry when I came from Perth Amboy. And back then, you know, in the 80s, it was and still is a great town in many regards. But things have changed. The complexion of the town has changed. And I live alone now. My husband passed, and I just have concerns. And I would just like to know that these things happen, because none of it was published. None of the incidents that has happened has been published, and it's all by word of mouth.
Right.
And I think if you have a dog and you walk around, you talk to people, and that's how I found out about stuff.
Yeah, and I understand your concern, and I can assure you and everybody watching and listening that if there's ever a threat to public safety or a community caretaking or a road closure or something that I feel the town needs to know about, trust me, you're going to know about it. Other things, I apologize, but you're not going to know about it. You're not entitled to know certain things. So the other day with this guy running, it was a very simple shoplifting.
Mm-hmm.
He was apprehended. There was no threat, no further incident. The guys come back to do the reports. We have 2 guys on the road. We can't do the play-by-play. Now, if there was a string of car burglaries, I would do a nixle, and there'd be public notification to say, hey, neighbors, please lock your doors. You know, there's somebody out there breaking into cars. That typically doesn't happen. The other incidents may be we're trying to protect somebody. It's an open investigation. Could be a juvenile. So a lot of that information that people feel that they're entitled to, they're just not going to get it. Not from me. And then the other stuff, like the kind of word of mouth stuff, the problem, a lot of it's inaccurate. You know what I mean? So I know that these things look like this massive, you know, something really big happening on your street, because it is Milltown, it's a quiet town.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, we're okay. You know what I mean? We're in good shape in town. So I don't think, maybe we can talk down the road about doing some type of, maybe put a little bit more out there, but I'm not going to step out and start doing a daily news report on everyone that gets arrested. And we actually used to do it.
I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, we used to do it, and residents get embarrassed. A lot of people we deal with live in town, and as soon as they see, if you look out your window and see the police pulling over your neighbor Johnny, and then you read a day later that Milltown made an arrest for drugs, people are going to make that association. They're going to think that Johnny's the kid with the drugs. People get embarrassed. People make, you know, they form their own opinions. So we just, you know, like I said, if it's a threat to public safety or public health or, you know, community caretaking thing, we'll let you know. Some of the other stuff, it's just,
But with
It's
all
not
due
gonna put out
respect, sir, if they had been trespassing in my lawn and hiding behind mine, I look at that as a threat. And if I came home and found out about
yeah,
it,
the
I wouldn't
homeowner
have looked
that
at
day
that.
was outside, and the officer spent a few minutes explaining to her what happened, and the guy was taken into custody, and that was the end of it. You know, there was no need to let anyone know anything else. It's just, you know, it's another thing that happens. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
yeah, I mean, that's okay. We could agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Nixle, and, you know, I have Nixle of a few towns. I work in another town, and I like the fact that they have a monthly report. Again, it's very generic, but you know that there were so many arrests, so many drug incidents, so many break-ins, whatever, pullovers, and I like to know.
Yeah, well, I submit that every month to my monthly report. I mean, we could take that same information and put it on, you know, on the borough website if we can come up with something.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I'm asking. You know,
Yeah.
just a little bit more
I
awareness.
think we could do that. I mean,
Yeah.
because we read it, and if you're not available to watch the meeting, I think it's good to take it up.
Yeah.
And then if you want to go onto the website, for not only the police, but all the departments, we all sit up here and everybody reads the report. I don't see there's any
Yeah.
problem putting it on the website afterward.
And lastly, I live again on Cherry Hill right off South Moats. Speeding is a chronic problem, and I know years ago I made a pledge, and I know officers were there and they did their thing, but that had to be 15 years ago. They still speed. We subsequently have a different generation. We have more little kids around, and the basketball and scooters and all that kind of stuff, and the speeding is pretty bad on South Moats, and no one stops at the stop signs. When they come off a rider's lane down Blueberry, nobody stops at that line on red stop sign at Moats. They don't stop on Cherry Hill. They don't do any of that.
I know.
It's just scary to be out at night walking the dog and boom.
I know, and I'll try to focus a guy over there. You know, there's this speeding and stop sign infractions are everywhere. There's 127 roads in town, and I can't tell you one that doesn't have the same complaints.
Yeah.
We just can't be everywhere all the time. But if you can give me an idea of what time it's most of this is happening, I'll be happy to send a guy over there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because I couldn't disagree with you. I mean, I've seen it. I was on the road 20 years, and I've seen it. You know, we could write all the tickets we want all day.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the other side of that coin is that it's some of our neighbors, your neighbors, and neighbors on other streets that are doing it too. So if I can
You're
put
right.
that out there too, that maybe Milltown, our own residents, kind of play by the rules as well, because it's not only people from other towns speeding through, it's us, and it's our families, and it's our friends, and so, just everyone keep that in mind.
And that could be good information for a Nixle, to put it on Nixle.
All right.
Don't
We'll
speak
consider
too
it.
low.
Thank you again for
You're
being
welcome.
here and
Thanks for
listening
coming.
to me, and thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
And again, call me tomorrow if you want to go, we can talk about that in detail if you want. We'll send a guy over.
What's your extension, chief?
I don't even know my extension. What is my extension? 117, 112? Well, I changed
Extension
phones.
112. Anyone else? Questions? Margaret?
Margaret O'Donnell, 89 Kutha Ave. You guys can turn off because you've heard this before, but I've been at meetings that you weren't at, Chief Canale, to thank you and the department for the Slow Down in Our Town campaign, particularly on my street. And I'm aware that there's many people in town who are a little jealous of my very now famous recycling bin that has the Slow Down in Our Town campaign. So we'd be anxious to hear where the next stop for that campaign is.
Yeah, we're going to work on it. We did it on Oaks after we did your street, and it's effective. It's not as effective as we'd hoped. You know, the people who are speeding are still speeding. That it's a very small percentage of people that are the over 10 miles an hour people still seem to be going fast, but it did slow a lot of people down.
Could you just tell people that might not know what it is?
So the Slow Down Our Town campaign?
Yeah.
Slow Down Our Town is a county-sponsored program where we kind of target a road where we're getting a lot of speeding complaints. We'll canvass the neighborhood. We'll ask residents if they mind us putting a sign on their lawn. It comes with the sticker. That's something new. Slow Down Our Town, big yellow sign. We'll saturate the road with that signage. That's the education portion of the program. So we'll let those signs linger out there for a week or two, and then we'll go out there with an enforcement detail and try to, pen out some speeding tickets and, educate the motorists coming through there. And then the signs come down, and then we put the speed spy out again, and then we see how the results look, if it had any impact.
Well, it certainly has been very effective in.
Are you telling me no one's speeding on Cool?
No, in engaging a dialogue about people in town, like you just mentioned, people in town who themselves might want to, be checking their speed a little bit more often. But just an overall safety of pedestrians. Someone mentioned, walking with their dog, senior citizens crossing the street slowly and things like that. So,
Right.
so thank you.
I appreciate it, thank you.
So can you speak to, I know we talked about speed bumps and why or why not they're not used or can't be used?
Well, my initial idea was to try. I wasn't 100% in favor of these to begin with because there's a lot of negatives. We tried this program before. They make noise when cars hit them. It's not as easy to set these things up accordingly. I had the idea to try to set temporary speed humps made out of hard rubber that we'd be able to initiate on a road, maybe pick them up after 2 weeks and move them to a different location and try to slow down that street. Apparently there's more involved. There's engineering, there's DOT regulations, so it's not that easy for us to put them there. I did consult with the engineers, and that they've been trying to help us get through this, and we're going to have to continue dialogue between us and the engineers to try to get this ironed out, to see if we can. The cost is another thing, and it may not be feasible to do, period. Coolthoe Avenue is unique. The way the road's designed, it's narrow, There's houses that basically sit on the road, there's cars on one side. So even with that, the perception of speed is a lot different than the actual speeds. You know, the stats that we collected aren't showing 60 miles an hour, but when you live on that road, they may as well be doing 60 because it sounds like it, and, you know, it's fast for that road, so we get that. But 85% of the up to 4,000 cars a night that are on Coulthard Avenue, 85% of them are doing about 25 to 28 miles an hour. So we kind of try to take these figures, we try to see, is it feasible, is it cost effective, is it legal? You know, a lot of engineering and consideration has to go into these things. So, you know, we're still in that process of, you know, figuring all this out.
Because Chief, you had somebody out there tracking, right, for quite a while.
We've spent hours and hours and days collecting data for the Speed Spy, the Slow Down Our Town. We have the full report that went to the county. We have a lot of good numbers. You know, I'm just not 100% sure that the speed bumps, and I don't know, and the engineering, you know, the guys from CME could probably chime in, but I don't know if if we can use the rubber speed bumps. That was my initial idea. I don't know if we want to go the distance of engineering.
Yeah. Are there
Blacktop.
what other streets, what are the other big streets besides Coulthard?
For-
You get complaints about?
We get them everywhere.
Everywhere?
You know, yeah. Coulthard Moats, you know, is we know that that's pretty fast. We try to saturate that with patrol in the morning when school's getting into Parkview. But like I said, we can't be everywhere all the time. And the second we turn our backs, you know, I think we figured on Coulthard, one out of every 25 cars is going somewhere between, you know, 3 and 9 miles an hour over. And so, you know, we try, we get out there and we do what we can with what we have.
Any other questions?
I do.
Good.
First off, I'd like to thank Chief Kennelly for coming here tonight. I really appreciate you coming and sitting with us.
Thanks for making me.
Just so all the residents know, this is my second year with public safety and working with Chief Kennelly. Please know that his job doesn't end when he walks out of the building. He gets calls all times of the day, the weekends, and unfortunately for me, when it's necessary, he calls me and lets me know on the weekend, 1 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is, if I need to know about something. So please know that, you know, it's not a 9-to-5 job that the chief does. He's on call basically 24 hours, 7 days a week, and he does a great job at it. The only other thing that I'd like to add while the chief is here is recently we've had a certain amount of, I guess, social media gets on a bandwagon or whatever you want to call it. And I have conversations with the chief. And the biggest problem we have is that everybody likes to report it on social media, but to be honest, not that many calls come into the station. Dispatch doesn't get any calls. I'll use what happened in the Target parking lot a few weeks ago. People were complaining about drag racing and dangerous. A couple of our officers happened to be patrolling and saw the large crowd and stopped by and made sure that traffic was flowing and getting by very nicely. After they did that, they left to, patrol the rest of the town, but yet, they didn't witness any drag racing or anything like that. But my problem with it is that people went to social media to report drag racing instead of calling the borough and reporting it here. Our police department had no idea of it, not one call. When people's cars get damaged, I understand that the easy route is to fix it yourself, and God bless you for fixing it yourself and not doing anything, but you should be reporting that to the police department as well. But we don't get any get a lot of calls on that either, but yet it gets on social media a lot. So if we could, those important things that if you think it's important enough to put on social media, maybe it's important enough that the police department knows about. I'm trying to think. I know that the chief would put a nixle out on any issue that he thought was important enough for the residents of this town to know about. So if there's a car theft in certain areas, or even in any area in the town, or break-ins or whatever, if he thought it was important enough to let the residents know, he would. If it's a matter of, an open investigation and things like that, where he can't divulge certain information, he's gonna do the right thing. But he's gonna do the right thing for all the residents. He is a resident, so he knows, and he'll let us know. He'll use his better judgment. I trust him with his judgment with every ounce of my being. So he knows I got his back, and I'm very, very well happy with the job that the chief does.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Any other council members?
Chief, I have one question. Where's the next spot for the Slow Down in Our Town program?
Maybe once the weather warms up, we'll start fielding some calls, tallying up who's calling from where. And it's open. I mean, if someone wants it out there, give us a shout, and we can put them. We just asked, we did it, and we lost a couple signs. Apparently some people don't want them on the lawns. It's included in the letter. If you don't want the sign, call us, we'll come pick it up. Some people just took it and apparently threw it in the garbage. So we just asked that if you want, if we put the signs out there, we're doing it for a reason, to try to help, just make sure we get the signs back. Because once they're gone, it may take, it was how long ago we did it the first time. It could be years before the program relaunches and we get signs back. So that's all. But it's open. If anyone needs them, wants them, we'll send them over.
I'm going to speak for the residents of Highland Drive. We'd love to have it on Highland
Yeah.
Drive. We'd love to have a program on
Yeah.
Highland Drive.
I think we did it on Highland, didn't we? One time? No?
The speed machine, you did.
Yeah, and we put the trailer out there. But
Yeah.
sure, we can get it over there. I don't know if we have enough signs for everybody on Highland Drive. A lot of houses.
Well, we'll take whatever you have.
Yeah, all right. Done.
Thank you.
If I could just add to the social media stuff, and it's a very good point that a lot of the stuff that people are reading on social media is very, very inaccurate. So anyone out there listening, understand this, that Milltown Police Department does not monitor third-party social media sites, and I'm certainly not going to react to them or respond. So if you have problems or concerns, call the police department, email me. Don't expect me to be reading these third-party posts and reacting and responding to them, because sometimes it comes back to me and I scratch my head and I say, what? So it's just a lot of inaccurate information out there. I'm sure there's a lot of great information out there. But if you ever have any questions or concerns, just call me first, or call the shift commander. We're going to give you honest answers. We're there to help. But that the third-party social media sites, I'm not going to entertain much of that stuff. All right.
I do have-
So there was a gentleman here a couple meetings ago, and he addressed it to Councilman Legati for public safety, and he talked about the pain that was on Coleslaw with the cars being damaged. But, so have you gotten many calls about that?
Well, I mean, statistically, since November of 16, 739 accidents in town, only 8 were on Coolthaw Avenue. 3 were parked vehicles. 1 of those was a borough vehicle doing a utility job. A car came up and struck that. It's a pretty low number. Now, none of those accidents on Coolthaw Avenue, speed was not a factor in any of them. So I think we're dealing with 2 separate issues. As a matter of fact, when those cars are hitting, it's probably the slowest they're going to be going on Coolthaw Avenue. It's a built-in traffic calming measure. You know what I mean? So it's 2 different issues. We're dealing with speed on one hand, but we're dealing with narrow roads and trying to accommodate parking. So you put those factors together, every once in a while we're going to get a scraper. It's unfortunate, but we can't prevent everything.
And
So-
then the gentleman, I think you remember, Nick, I think he had a suggestion about parking a car or something, or putting a camera. Do you recall that? And I'm sure, but this is what I was saying, rather than coming to us, he could have, given you a suggestion of, hey, I think it might be a good idea to put a camera there, and your response would have been,
Right, we did speak about it. The resident came here, and the following day, I called the chief, and we spoke about it, and it's feasibly, it's. I know other towns might do it or place a car there as a deterrent, but to place a car there with a camera, the amount of data that it would take up, we talked about it. We
Yeah.
tried to make it work, but it just doesn't work to do that kind of an operation. You'd need a whole server to capture all the data that would
And where
continuously
would you
go
put
on
it?
there. Well,
Yeah, that's the issue. We really don't have the equipment to support that. I mean, the car cameras, they need to be downloaded. So every time the police car drives within the proximity of this building, it wicks the information from there and downloads it to Lieutenant Canoni's computer. So those cameras, if they were to sit out there, they're gonna time out eventually. They're gonna.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you had the camera, like, you know, close to the light or down at the end.
Yeah, but even then, the cameras.
No, I'm saying that probably wouldn't be.
No, because our cameras aren't that, you know, you'd need a plate reader.
Yeah.
You would have to be able to identify the driver, you know, and that's high-tech stuff. Our onboard cameras wouldn't support that kind of, nor would it be, you don't want to tie up those assets and resources to try to catch a fender bender. Otherwise, we'd be putting these cameras on every street in the borough.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things. It's not like we have one guy who's sinister driving up the street and sideswiping cars once a month. It's so random, there's just no way we're gonna, you know, hopefully one day we'll catch one of them, and we have, you know, a couple
Yeah.
people. The good people stop and report it,
Yeah.
you know, but you're gonna get those people who don't care and
Yeah.
disregard it and keep going.
The police, do they have one of the choices for reported concern on the website? So
For
that's another.
non-emergent
What?
things.
Yeah, non-emergency.
Yeah.
That's another thing, if you go on the website and you report a concern, or, you know, email, call.
Yeah,
Right.
there's mechanisms in place to report, you know, concerns, absolutely.
the last thing I have is that in speaking with the mayor, I've, you know, in conjunction, we've decided that maybe that we should have a little bit more frequent public safety meetings. So I'm working on that with the police department, the fire department, the rescue squad, so that we can have the first portion of our meeting open to the public to address their concerns, you know, a little bit more frequently. And then, you know, we'll close out the second portion and we'll have that a private meeting. But we're going to do that a little bit more frequently. It'll be posted on the website, and hopefully that'll help, you know, if we get, you know, more residents to come, you know, we'll do it even more often if we need. But that's the other thing we're going to do.
Thank you, appreciate it. Okay, if there's nothing else, we will say thank you so much to the chief for.
Thanks for
coming
having
here
me.
tonight, we really appreciate
It
it.
was
Thank you,
fun.
Chief.
Thanks.
Okay, so next on the agenda, we have miscellaneous engineering items. Or, Jeanette, did you have something? Or you're just-
I'll wait till the other,
you're
I'll wait till the next meeting.
Okay, no, never mind. We'll wait. Lou, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. One item to report tonight, and that is to just inform the council that the Tracy Drive improvements design is progressing. We've reviewed the existing roadway grade deficiencies, and we are analyzing the existing storm drainage system, and we're developing the preliminary plans and cost estimates, and we hope to have those to you within the next month or so to move the project forward to bid.
Great, thank you. Okay, next we'll move on to audience comments. The comments from the audience, if any member of the public wishes to speak on the items listed in the agenda meeting, please step forward and say your name and address for the record. These comments are limited to items discussed at the agenda meeting. Seeing none, I'll move on to ask the council for a motion to adjourn the agenda meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Council President Farkas, second by Councilman Magadi. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll take the 5-minute recess.
Oh, that doesn't seem.
Okay, welcome back. The March 9th meeting of the Milltown Borough Council will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Farkas?
Here.
Councilman Dixon?
Here.
Councilman Legati?
Here.
Councilwoman Newbauer? Here. Councilman Peretti is absent. Councilman Zambrana?
Here.
Mayor, we have 5 present.
Thank you. Will the clerk please read the open public meeting statement?
Let the minutes reflect that adequate notice of the holding of this regular business meeting of the Borough Council was provided by the adoption of a resolution and the posting, filing, and forwarding of a copy of the same to the official borough newspapers, Home News Tribune, and Star Ledger Publishing Companies on January 9th, 2020. Public participation in this meeting will be permitted during public hearings and after the agenda of scheduled matters has been completed.
Thank you. Now let's stand for a moment of silence and a salute to our flag. Next on the agenda, we have minutes.
No.
What is the, no, oh, I'm sorry, no, my bad, sorry. Scratch that. We have a proclamation.
Yes.
Okay. We will be proclaiming March is Youth Art Month. Whereas art education contributes powerful education benefits to all elementary, middle, and secondary students, including the following. Art education develops students' creative problem-solving and critical thinking abilities. Art education teaches sensitivity to beauty, order, and other expressive qualities. Art education gives students a deeper understanding of multicultural values and beliefs. Art education reinforces and brings to life what students learn in other subjects. Art education interrelates student learning in art production, art history, art criticism, and aesthetics. Whereas our national leaders have acknowledged the necessity of including arts experiences in all students' education. So therefore, I, Trina Mayer, Mayor of the Borough of Milltown, do hereby proclaim that support should be given to art teachers as they attempt to strengthen art education in their schools and communities. And be it further resolved, I, Trina Mayer, proclaim the month of March be observed as Youth Art Month for the year 2020. I urge all residents of Milltown to take interest in and give full support to quality school art programs for children and youth. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the official seal of the Borough of Milltown to be affixed on this 9th day of March, 2020. Thank you. Now, we have minutes. What is the council's pleasure for the minutes of February 24th, 2020 meeting?
Move that the minutes be approved as typed.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Legati and a tie between, we'll give it to Councilman Zambrana to accept the minutes as typed. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Farkas?
Aye.
Councilman Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilwoman Newbauer? Aye. Councilman Peretti is absent. Councilman Zambrana?
Aye.
Mayor, we have 5 ayes.
Thank you. Next, we'll have comments from the audience on resolutions. If any member of the public wishes to speak on resolutions, please step forward and say your name and address for the record. These comments are limited to resolutions listed on the agenda. Seeing none, we'll now go on to bills and claims. Will the clerk please read the bill resolution 20-072?
Authorizing the payments of bills, claims, and statements against the Borough of Milltown in the total amount of $637,937.06.
You've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Move that the resolution be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion by Council President Farkas, second by Councilman Legati. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Farkas?
Aye.
Councilman Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilwoman Newbauer? Aye. Councilman Peretti is absent. Councilman Zambrana?
Aye.
Mayor, we have 5 ayes.
Thank you. So moved. The resolution is adopted. Next, we have reports of standing committees and introduction of resolutions. A consent resolution has been prepared to cover the resolutions listed on the agenda. If any member of the council wants any resolution acted upon individually, please give me the resolution number and it will be pulled from the consent resolution. Seeing none. Will the clerk please read the consent resolution?
Whereas pursuant to the rules of the council may establish a consent agenda for any regular or special meeting, and whereas the Borough Clerk has posted a consent agenda for this meeting, now therefore be it resolved by the Mayor and Borough Council of the Borough of Milltown, County of Middlesex, State of New Jersey, that the consent agenda previously prepared by the Borough Clerk be approved without the necessity of having individual resolutions read by the Borough Clerk.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of this resolution. What is your pleasure?
Make a motion that this resolution be adopted.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Legati, second by Councilwoman Newbauer. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Farkas?
Aye.
Councilman Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilman Newbauer?
Aye.
Councilman Peretti is absent. Councilman Zambrana?
Aye.
Mayor, we have 5 ayes.
Thank you. So moved. And next, we'll move on to council reports. We'll start with the Department of Finance, Administration, and Planning. Phil Zambrana.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The 2020 budget continues to be worked on, and hopefully at some point later on this month, we'll finalize that and present something to the council and to the greater community. Good news is that the 2018 audit was received at the borough this past Friday. It still is in a draft status, but we expect to have a final audit the week of the 16th to present to everyone, and that completes my report.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to the Department of Public Safety. Nick Legati.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The monthly report for the Milltown Police Department. Between February 9th, 2020 and March 3rd, 2020, police have received and answered 1,152 calls for service. Police conducted a total of 333 motor vehicle stops, which include cell phone and crosswalk details. 31 radar details were conducted in various locations during this period. Police responded to 12 motor vehicle accidents and made 18 arrests, which include shoplifting, possession of drugs, resisting arrest, and warrant arrest. Police acquired a specialized toolkit from LESO Government Supplies Surplus Program valued at $1,500. This was at no cost to the borough and is specific for our special use vehicles. After months of preparation, Milltown Police Department has successfully passed our mock inspection for re-accreditation. An on-site inspection is scheduled for later this month. Accreditation is the validation process in which our agency is reviewed to ensure we are operating at the highest standards and best practices of law enforcement set forth by the New Jersey Association of Chief of Police Accreditation Commission. A press release will follow providing more information. Police continue speed enforcement and education efforts throughout town. We are currently accepting applications for part-time dispatchers and crossing guards. Police encourage residents to remain vigilant and report suspicious activity and traffic concerns to 732-828-1100 or at www.milltownnj.org. Chief Kennelly reminds residents to report concerns and/or complaints by using the official borough website or by calling the Milltown Police directly. The Milltown Police Department does not monitor and will not react to respond to comments or complaints posted on any third-party social media sites. Chief Brian Kennelly. Just to add to that is the police department's accreditation is a pretty big deal. Our police department works hard to keep our accreditation, and that's a super good thing for us. Last Saturday, the mayor and Councilman Zambrana all attended the 109th Fire Department Annual Banquet, a very well attended evening, a very nice evening. It was the first one that I attended, and I intend to go to some more in the future if I'm invited. The last thing I have is that there is a OEM Office of Emergency Management meeting scheduled for March 16th at 7 o'clock in, I think, this room here in Borough Chambers. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have the Department of Utilities, Randy Farkas.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. For the month of February, the Utility Department has the following report: 48 daily station checks, 29 substation checks, 50-plus utility markouts. Water samples. Disinfectant residual testing was performed on February 5th, 12th, and 19th. All testing was found to be within acceptable parameters. In addition, additional testing was performed on quarterly TTHMs and HAA samples. All results were satisfactory. Electric utility. Various electric meters were replaced. Several house drops and hooks were replaced and repaired. 5 street lights were repaired, and we have been aggressively patrolling at night to compile a full list of broken fixtures. Ongoing maintenance of the overhead wiring has resumed and several deficiencies repaired. Tree trimming was performed around primary and secondary wires in several locations. Vegetation management was performed at the new substation, as well as various locations where vines were climbing up poles and down guy wires. Water department. Roughly 6 broken water meters were replaced throughout the borough and new remote readers were installed. Curb stops were located for various customers. Sewer department. Several sewer issues were reported and Utilities Department responded with the sewer machines to do some cleaning. As always, the Utility Department works hand in hand with the Utility Billing Department to ensure accurate utility charges. We troubleshoot faulty meters and work very hard to resolve any billing issues that occur. The utility staff has been extremely busy providing quality water, reliable electricity, working streetlights, and functional fire hydrants. As always, it's a pleasure to serve all our residents, and we strive to provide prompt service around the clock. A reminder to all residents, if you have a water, sewer, or electric emergency, you can call Milltown Police Dispatch at 732-828-2100, extension 0, for service at any time. For non-emergency situations, like reporting a street light out or a leaking fire hydrant, you can call the utility office at 732-828-2100, extension 137. Or you can now report non-emergency problems on the borough website. If you have a question about water or electric service or your water or electric bill, please call 732-828-2100, extension 183. That concludes the utilities report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next, we have Department of Public Works and Recycling, Anna Newbauer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Along with all scheduled curbside collections, DPW has the following to report. Work has begun on the Major League Field at Borough Park for the upcoming opening day. Michelin Field Park has had its spring cleanup in preparation for the upcoming baseball season. Trees have been removed at the following locations: Northbrook Drive, Janet Court, Oaks Avenue, West Church Street, Highland Drive, South Moats, and Harkins Road. Street sweeping has taken place and will be ongoing. Work is ongoing to install a new drainage pipe on Clay Street. A downed tree blocking the waterway on Northbrook Drive has been cleared in order to restore water flow. Pothole repair has taken place throughout down and will continue as weather permits. Throughout town, I think that was supposed to say, sorry about that. Street leaf cleanup took place at Albert Avenue and Hill Street. Park picnic tables and benches are being painted and repaired at various locations around town. The bathrooms at Borough Park have been painted. New playground equipment has been installed at Herbert Avenue Park. March recycling dates are the 12th and the 26th. Please check Channel 15 and milltownnj.org for DPW updates. And in addition, we did have a DPW meeting, and we just had a small discussion about the tree list. They've removed over 240 trees at this point, and they are continuing to work on them. That's why you'll notice during each report, they will mention, oh, trees were removed on this street, and they're removing the trees that they can. There are some trees that cannot be removed by the DPW, and there are some trees that, as Councilman Farkas had mentioned, have to be trimmed by utilities because they're within the wires. They also discussed, I know Councilman Preddy had mentioned that he went around with Ralph, and that's something else we've touched upon, and there was also discussion about possibly looking into restarting the paving and milling program again.
Good, great,
And that's it.
thank
That's
you.
all to report.
Great. Next, we have Department of Environmental, Health, and Social Services, Ron Dixon.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Two reports tonight, the environmental report and the health and social service report, but the environmental report will be given by Councilman Zambrana.
Yeah. It's a brief report. The Environmental Commission had their last meeting on the 26th of February. Well attended. Always, the Environmental Commission is always looking for new members. It is the fourth Wednesday of every month, and everyone is welcome. It's at 7:30 in the Borough Conference Room in the back. The two most talked about items at the Environmental Commission meeting were about the Our property and the steep slope ordinances. Some concerns about whether the ordinances were being adhered to, and we were able to reach out to CME, and they were able to give us some great information that they shared amongst the group. And the other topic that was of great discussion was reaching out to the Highland Park Environmental Commission and the East Brunswick Borough for their guidance and expertise on and their experience to date with plastic ban legislation. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Is it, I saw the State House actually voted to
Yeah.
do this ban.
Yep.
Great, thanks. Sorry, Ron, go ahead.
The Middlesex County Health Department Education Unit, in cooperation with the County Office of Emergency Management, has put together a 1-hour informational session about the coronavirus. The session has been scheduled for the public to attend March 26th, 7 to 8 p.m. at the Senior Center located at 60 Violet Terrace. Information is also available at the borough website, which is www.milltownnewjersey.org. Please share this information with anyone who may have concerns and wishes to attend. The next Board of Health meeting is scheduled for March 24th at 7:30 p.m. And that concludes my report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. And finally, we have Department of Recreation.
And I'll be reading it.
Okay,
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So since Councilman Preddy is out tonight, I'll be reading the Recreation SAC report. For SAC, we are in search of adult program aides for the school year and summer SAC program. You may go online to download and complete an application and return to the Rec SAC office. For recreation, youth tennis, spring soccer, and fundamental fours t-ball is now online and open for registration. Please go to the website to register. As a reminder, when registering for any recreation or SAC program, please enter your address as it appears on your utility bill, or the system will not recognize it as a Milltown resident. There is still room in men's basketball and women's volleyball to register. All summer programs, Albert Avenue Summer Recreation, and Summer SAC registrations will be available in April. We do not have an exact date as of yet, and we are developing the online registration forms through Community Pass manually, and it does take some time. We are anticipating opening online registration for May 1st for Milltown Borough Pool memberships and swim lessons for the 2020 season. Reminder, all Milltown Albert Ave Summer Rec and Milltown Borough Pool applications for the 2020 summer season are due in the Recreation Department by March 31st. Please go online to fill one out. All applicants must be 15 by March 31st in order to apply. And then one addition was the next Recreation Advisory meeting has been moved to March 16th. That's all, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Just making sure that we have everything covered. Back to Councilman Legati.
My apologies, I left out two items, both with the Milltown Fire Department. I didn't turn over my page and look at my back notes. I apologize again. One issue we had was on Saturday, there was a structural fire on Main Street. A front porch, portion of a front porch caught on fire. Due to the quick response of the Milltown Fire Department, that fire was contained to just a small area on the front porch. I would like to personally thank the Milltown Fire Department, all their members, for jumping on that right away and making sure nobody got hurt, and there was no injuries, nothing even worse, and they got out there fast, and they took care of business like they're trained to do. Just a side note for that, the county fire marshal has determined the fire is undetermined at this time. I'm not sure if that's going to change, but if it does, I will let the public know. The second item that I omitted was we attended the banquet. I was the Uber driver for a couple of council people, but I did forget to mention that Councilman Ron Dixon was also present there as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda, we have introduction of ordinances. Will the clerk please read? Yes. So I've been remiss recently, and it's something that we have done in the past, so I should get professional reports at this time before we get into the ordinances. And by the way, Councilman Dixon read about the coronavirus information session that's going to be at the senior center, and I would thank our business administrator for setting up a meeting that was held with the employees today, and then also setting up the one to be provided by the county. But so first we'll go to our business administrator, Jeanette Larison, for any reports that she may have. Thank you.
Yes, so I wanted to share some good news that I received. So as you are all aware, last year, after the water tank rehabilitation had been completed and the tower fully painted, there was an incident that occurred there from one of the cell tower carriers that caused some paint spillage. So at that time, when it was discovered, an attempt was made to go directly through the cell tower carriers to get restitution. And it was a slow, arduous process, and it didn't seem like we were going anywhere. So around July, the beginning of July, at the behest of Councilman Legati, who came up with the great idea for us to reach out to our joint insurance fund and have them subrogate the claim, and so they did. It's over the past 8 months, we have, with the assistance of our engineers' help, had multiple dialogues with the JIF, the Joint Insurance Fund's representative, and we've gone back and forth and argued our case, and I'm pleased to announce that we did reach a settlement, and that settlement was awarded for $423,850 to fully repaint the tank. So at this point in time, CME is looking into everything that's required to get the ball rolling for that. So that would be my report tonight. I'm happy to
Thank you.
give.
That's good news. Thank you to you for
Yes.
keeping on that, and to Councilman Legati for
Now,
suggesting it.
for all the people watching and listening or whatever, when you see the scaffolding go up again,
That would be
don't cause a panic.
That would be one.
Perfect timing, well, just in time for the nice weather. Great. Okay. Anything from our borough attorney?
Just that I'm going to assist CME and our business administrator in trying to logistically figure out how best to move forward with the repainting of the water tank. So stay tuned, we'll have some updates for you guys.
Perfect. Thank you. Now we can move on to introduction of ordinances. Will the clerk please read ordinance 20-1485 by title only?
An ordinance authorizing the conveyance of a drainage easement over a portion of 52 South Brook Drive, block 106.09, lot 10, to the county of Middlesex.
Council, what is your pleasure?
I move that the ordinance be adopted on first reading, published according to law, and that a public hearing be held at our next regularly scheduled council meeting on Monday,
March 23rd.
March 23rd at 7 p.m. in council chambers in Borough Hall.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Legati and a second by Council President Farkas. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Council President Farkas?
Aye.
Councilman Dixon?
Aye.
Councilman Legati?
Aye.
Councilman Newbauer?
Aye.
Councilman Peretti is absent. Councilman Zambrana?
Aye.
Mayor, we have 5 ayes.
Great, thank you, so moved. Next, we will move to old business. Does any member of the council have any old business to bring before the council? Seeing none, I will close old business. Does any member of the council have any new business to bring before the council? Seeing none, I will move on to audience comments. The public comment portion of our meeting is to allow the public to bring to the council's attention their concerns or comments. The council will respect the public's time by refraining any comment until the speaker has finished. It should be further noted that public comment portion of our meeting is not structured as a question and answer session. If a member of the public has questions they seek answers to, an appointment can be made with the appropriate office during regular business hours or with a member of council during their allotted meeting hours. Please state your name for the record when you come to the podium. Yes.
Margaret O'Donnell, 89 Coutha. Maybe you'll just have to tell me which department this is if you want me to go directly to the department. But with all the trees that have been cut down, residents in my district, 6th district, have been asking if any trees would be replaced.
That would
So-
be public works.
Yeah, it would be the Public Works Department. As far as I know, right now, the plan is just to get the dangerous trees down. And we can revisit afterwards, and I can follow up with Ralph, but at the moment, the plan is just to get the dangerous trees down or trimmed, depending on what it needs.
Okay, thank you.
No
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Hi, Lee Weisenberger, 99 JFK Drive. I was going to ask about the water tank. I'd like a little more clarification. You're saying paint, top half of the tank? Where are we drawing the line?
The entire exterior,
Really?
yes. The paint basically dripped from the very top all the way to the ground.
So originally it cost 1.2 million?
It's inside and out.
That was
Inside.
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 Even so.
We're not doing
Now
the inside again.
423, you know, just curious where that number is going to go.
So, no, it's coming from the carrier's insurance company.
I understand that. I'm just
Right.
questioning the amount that they're gonna redo that whole tank for that price when we paid 1.2 for the inside and the outside. It just still seems not enough.
Well, there's a lot more to, the original paint included a lot of blasting inside and out. There was other valve work done. It was more than just the painting of the tank. This is just the exterior painting.
Okay,
It's a blast and a paint.
right. The new DPW building, progress, status, opening date?
I believe I asked last meeting, not last month, although it was last month, and they did say at the end of March was the hopeful date for it to be completed, and then as Mayor had discussed, we were hoping to open up to the public.
Right?
Yeah, I don't have a firm date, Jeanette, maybe you have a,
I don't have a firm date either. I know that the contractor is currently going over a punch list of ancillary items that need to be completed, and then there's some other work that's being done within the building to prep it for the employees to move over. So, you know, we don't have an exact date yet, but
hopefully by the
when we
next
do,
meeting,
let
we'll
you know.
have
Right,
a
just
update.
trying to keep track.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Another one for the engineer. The culvert on Coulter Ave,
Yes.
what's the status on that?
Well, it's a county project. It's, I believe, in permit. The
Been
DEP
it-
takes quite a while
been a
to
long
issue
time.
permits on a job like that. It takes a long time.
Takes a long time. Okay, appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other audience comments? Seeing none, I will close audience comments and ask if the council has any comments. Is there anything further that anyone on the council would like to bring up at this time?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I actually have 3 different items. It'd be remiss if I didn't mention. So, wanted to give a shout out to the 8th grade at Parkview last Friday. They had their annual March Madness fundraiser for the 8th grade. Well attended, actually sold out, hardest ticket to get in Milltown last Friday. I attended along with Councilman Peretti and with Mayor, and I'd like to thank all the first responders who made up one half of a team that played against the kids: police department, fire department, rescue squad, and of course the 8th grade parents and volunteers. Secondly, I'd like to invite everyone to the annual Boy Scout Spaghetti Dinner this coming Saturday at the American Legion. Doors open, there's an early bird special actually from 4 to 5, and the event will go from 5 to 7. Again, you contribute to Milltown Troop 33. It would be a great event if everyone could show up. And then the last item that I had was a shout out to the 4th of July committee for their celebrity bartender event at the American Legion. Again, great presentation, well attended. Nice to have all the volunteers involved. Councilman Legati, Mayor, and myself were able to make it after first hitting the banquet, but we made sure to show up and help out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any comments?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to say congratulations to Councilman Legati for doing some quick thinking and thinking out of the box and saving the taxpayers of this town $425,000 for repainting that water tower. So again, congratulations to Councilman Legati. That was a great job.
Thank you, sir.
Good job, Nick. Yes, and so I would like to say too, we had a busy weekend in Milltown. The March Madness was great, as always. I would like to congratulate the Milltown Fire Department on their 109th anniversary. We had a very nice evening at their banquet, and then there was another big event in Milltown at the American Legion, which was the 4th of July fundraiser for the celebrity bartender, which was very well attended and a very, very fun event. So we're very fortunate here in Milltown to have so many good dedicated volunteers for all of our organizations, and we're very thankful for it. So it was a nice time had by all. So now I will ask the council if they would like to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
That's the way it's-
Get used to it.